Every year, thousands of families bring a plant home from the nursery, put it in the living room or the garden, and have absolutely no idea they just introduced something that could send their child or their pet to the emergency room. Not because they were careless, because nobody told them. Garden centers don't display warning labels. Florists arrange these plants in bouquets without a word. Landscapers plant them along driveways and front paths and move on to the next job. And the plants themselves are beautiful, genuinely beautiful, which is exactly why they keep ending up in homes where children crawl on floors and dogs chew on anything within reach. Today, I'm going to change that. 15 plants. Some of the most popular, most widely sold, most commonly grown plants in the world. And every single one of them has the potential to cause serious harm to the people and animals in your home, often from quantities so small that a curious toddler or a single episode of chewing from a dog is enough. This is not a video designed to frighten you. It is a video designed to make sure you know what is actually growing in your home and garden, because the first step to protecting your family is simply knowing what you're dealing with. Stay until the end, because the last plant on this list is one of the most common landscaping plants in suburban gardens across the world, planted in millions of front yards, and almost nobody knows how dangerous it is. Welcome to the quiet garden. Let's get into it. 15. Dieffenbachia. Dieffenbachia, also called dumb cane, is one of the most popular houseplants in the world. It is in offices, shopping centers, homes, and waiting rooms everywhere. It is sold at every garden center and most supermarkets. It is easy to grow, tolerates low light, and looks lush and tropical in any indoor space. It is also one of the most frequently reported causes of plant-related poisoning in children and pets. Every part of the Dieffenbachia plant contains raphids, microscopic needle-shaped crystals of calcium oxalate that are ejected into soft tissue on contact. When a child or animal chews a leaf, these crystals penetrate the tongue, the lips, the throat, and the lining of the mouth with immediate and intense effect. The result is burning pain, swelling of the mouth and throat, excessive drooling, and in serious cases enough swelling in the airway to cause difficulty breathing. The name dumb cane comes from a historical use. The plant was used to silence people by forcing them to chew the stem, which rendered them temporarily unable to speak from the swelling and pain it caused. That history is sitting in millions of living rooms right now, in a decorative pot, within reach of any child or pet who gets curious. If you have Dieffenbachia in your home, keep it completely out of reach. If you have small children or pets who explore freely, consider replacing it with a safe alternative. The beauty is not worth the risk. 14. Philodendron. Philodendron is one of the most widely grown and recommended houseplants in the world. It trails beautifully from shelves and hanging baskets. It tolerates neglect. It purifies indoor air. It is in plant care guides everywhere as a beginner-friendly, low-maintenance option. It contains the same calcium oxalate crystals as Dieffenbachia, with the same mechanism of injury. Chewing any part of a philodendron causes immediate oral burning and irritation, swelling of the mouth and throat, nausea, and in cats and dogs, tremors and seizures have been reported following significant ingestion. The ASPCA lists philodendron as toxic to both cats and dogs. It appears consistently in veterinary poison control reports, and it is recommended without any safety caveat in the vast majority of houseplant content aimed at new plant owners. The trailing varieties, heartleaf philodendron in particular, hang from shelves and trail along surfaces in a way that places leaves exactly at the height of a curious cat, a toddler pulling up to stand, or a dog exploring the room. Know what you have, know where it is, keep it where animals and children genuinely cannot access it. 13. Peace lily. The peace lily is the plant given most often as a sympathy gift, a housewarming gift, and an office plant. It is elegant. It flowers in low light conditions where other plants struggle, and it has a quiet, understated beauty that makes it one of the most popular flowering houseplants in the world. It also contains calcium oxalate and other irritant compounds that make it toxic to cats, dogs, and potentially harmful to small children who ingest any part of the plant. For cats specifically, peace lily ingestion is a serious concern. It causes intense oral irritation, excessive drooling, vomiting, and difficulty swallowing. The plant is listed as toxic to cats and dogs by the ASPCA and appears regularly in veterinary emergency reports. The particular danger of the peace lily is the combination of its ubiquity as a gift plant and its frequent placement on low surfaces, coffee tables, low shelves, floor level, exactly where cats and small dogs spend their time. If you have cats, the peace lily should not be in your home. There are many beautiful, elegant flowering houseplants that pose no risk at all. The peace lily's specific combination of toxicity and typical placement makes it one of the more important plants to replace when animals are present. 12. Pothos. Pothos is probably the most widely recommended beginner houseplant in existence. It trails beautifully, it survives almost complete neglect, it grows in low light, it propagates easily in water. Every plant care beginner list includes it. Every office has one. Almost every home has one. And almost no one who recommends it mentions that it is toxic to cats and dogs. Pothos contains calcium oxalate crystals and additional compounds that cause oral irritation, drooling, vomiting, and difficulty swallowing in pets. Cats in particular are frequently affected because they are attracted to trailing plants and will chew on the leaves given access. The issue with pothos is not that the toxicity is catastrophic in small amounts. It is generally not, but that it is completely absent from most of the plant care content that introduces it to new plant owners. People bring it home without any awareness that their cat's interest in chewing it is a problem. And veterinary poison control calls about pothos are consistently among the most common plant-related calls each year. If you have cats and trailing pothos, keep it genuinely out of reach, in a room the cat does not access, or on a surface high enough that there is no possibility of reaching it, or replace it with a trailing plant that poses no risk. 11. Oleander. Oleander is one of the most beautiful and one of the most toxic plants in common cultivation. It is widely planted in Mediterranean climates. In warm weather gardens, along highways, in public spaces, and in private gardens across southern Europe, the Middle East, California, and the American Southwest. Every part of the oleander is highly toxic: the leaves, the stems, the flowers, the roots, the sap, and even the smoke from burning pruned material. The active compounds are cardiac glycosides, the same class of compounds as digoxin, a pharmaceutical heart drug that in overdose cause severe disruption of heart rhythm. Oleander poisoning in animals and humans requires emergency medical treatment. There have been documented fatalities in humans from oleander ingestion, and fatalities in horses, cattle, and dogs from eating the leaves. The danger is compounded by the plant's attractiveness. Oleander is genuinely beautiful, covered in clusters of pink, white, red, or yellow flowers through a long blooming season. It is drought-tolerant, easy to maintain, and effective as a hedge or screen. These qualities have led to it being planted extensively in public and private spaces without the safety awareness that should accompany it. If oleander is in your garden and you have children or animals, it needs to be either fenced off or removed. If you are choosing plants for a boundary hedge or a screen, there are many beautiful alternatives that do not require this level of caution. 10. Foxglove. Foxglove digitalis purpurea is one of the most magnificent flowering plants that grows in a temperate garden. The tall spires of tubular flowers, spotted inside in shades of purple, pink, white, and cream. It is the image of the English cottage garden. It appears in paintings, in poetry, in the romantic ideal of a beautiful garden. And every part of it is highly toxic. Foxglove contains digoxin and related cardiac glycosides in significant concentrations. These compounds affect the electrical system of the heart. Ingestion of foxglove leaves, which are sometimes mistaken for comfrey leaves by people unfamiliar with both plants, can cause nausea, vomiting, confusion, severe disruption of heart rhythm, and in serious cases, cardiac arrest. Children who have eaten foxglove leaves and the water from vases containing foxglove have required emergency hospitalization. The irony of foxglove is that it gave medicine one of its most important cardiac drugs. Digoxin, derived from foxglove, is still used to treat heart failure and atrial fibrillation. The therapeutic dose and the toxic dose are dangerously close. That relationship between medicine and poison, measured only in quantity, is embodied in this plant. Grow it if you love it. It is worth growing. But know what it is, keep children away from it, and never let anyone mistake the leaves for a food plant. 9. Lily of the Valley. Lily of the Valley is one of the most beloved flowering plants in the world. The tiny, perfectly formed, white bell-shaped flowers on arching stems, with their intense and distinctive fragrance. It is used in wedding bouquets, in perfumery, in garden borders, in the classic image of a spring garden. It is also highly toxic throughout. Flowers, leaves, stems, roots, and the water in any vase it has stood in. Lily of the Valley contains cardiac glycosides including convolatoxin that cause nausea, vomiting, confusion, slowed heart rate, and serious cardiac rhythm disturbances. The berries that form after flowering are particularly attractive to children, small, round, and red. And ingestion of even a few berries can cause symptoms requiring medical attention. For cats, Lily of the Valley is acutely toxic. For dogs, ingestion causes vomiting, reduced heart rate, and in significant doses, serious cardiac effects. Emergency veterinary treatment is required for suspected Lily of the Valley ingestion in pets. It grows vigorously, spreads through ground-covering colonies, and once established is difficult to remove. In a garden where small children play or where animals roam freely, Lily of the Valley is a plant that requires serious consideration about placement or replacement with a ground cover that poses no risk. 8. Wisteria. Wisteria is one of the most spectacular flowering plants that can be grown in a temperate garden. A mature wisteria in full bloom, cascades of purple or white flowers covering an entire wall, a pergola, an arch, is genuinely breathtaking. It is one of the most photographed garden plants in the world. The seeds and seed pods of wisteria are toxic to children, dogs, and cats. They contain lectins and wisterin, compounds that cause nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, and in cases of significant ingestion, more serious symptoms including collapse. Children are attracted to the seed pods and the pea-like seeds inside them. Dogs will chew them on the ground after they fall. The ingestion of even a few seeds has caused significant symptoms in small children, requiring medical attention. 2 seeds have been documented as sufficient to cause serious illness in a small child. Wisteria does not need to be removed from a garden to be managed safely. But if you grow it, the seed pods need to be removed before they ripen and fall, and children need to understand that the seeds are not to be touched. In a garden with small children and unsupervised dogs, wisteria requires active management through its seeding season. 7. Daffodil. Daffodils are one of the defining plants of spring. They appear in millions of gardens, in public parks, along roadsides, in cut flower displays in homes and offices. They are planted by the billion every autumn and emerge reliably every spring to signal the end of winter. The entire daffodil plant is toxic: the flowers, the leaves, the stems, and particularly the bulbs. The compounds responsible are alkaloids including lycorine and calcium oxalate crystals, which cause nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, and excessive salivation. The bulbs cause the most severe symptoms and are occasionally confused with onion bulbs by people who don't recognize them, a confusion with serious consequences. For dogs, daffodil ingestion, particularly of bulbs being dug up and chewed in the garden, causes vomiting, diarrhea, abdominal pain, and in significant cases, cardiac arrhythmia and convulsions. Veterinary treatment is required for symptomatic dogs. Cut daffodils release a sap that is irritating to the skin and toxic to other flowers. They should not be arranged with other cut flowers without being conditioned separately first. The daffodil's toxicity does not make it unsuitable for most gardens, but planting bulbs where dogs dig, or where small children might handle what they pull from the ground, requires awareness that most people planting daffodils simply don't have. 6. Hydrangea. Hydrangeas are among the most popular garden shrubs in the world. The large, dramatic flower heads in shades of blue, pink, white, and purple are a staple of cottage gardens, formal borders, and container planting. They are given as gifts, grown in pots on patios, and used extensively in cut flower arrangements. The leaves, flowers, and buds of hydrangeas contain cyanogenic glycosides, compounds that can release hydrogen cyanide when metabolized. Symptoms of hydrangea ingestion in children include nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and lethargy. In dogs and cats, vomiting, diarrhea, depression, and in cases of significant ingestion, more serious symptoms have been reported. The toxicity of hydrangea is often described as mild compared to some plants on this list, but the volume that causes symptoms is not large, and the frequency with which people are unaware of it at all makes it worth knowing. Hydrangea is not a plant most people would ever consider toxic. That assumption, based entirely on how widely it is grown and how commonly it is sold without any warning, is exactly the gap this video is trying to close. 5. Yew. Yew taxa species is one of the most widely used hedging plants in formal gardens, historic estates, churchyards, and suburban gardens across the temperate world. It is clipped into hedges, into topiary shapes, into formal garden structures. It is extremely long-lived, extremely dense, and extremely effective as a screen. It is also one of the most acutely toxic plants in the British and European flora. The taxane alkaloids in yew, present in the leaves, bark, and seeds, though notably not the red berry flesh, cause rapid cardiac toxicity. In horses and cattle that access yew clippings, death can occur within hours of ingestion. In dogs, yew ingestion is a veterinary emergency. The window between ingestion and serious cardiac effects is short, and treatment must begin promptly. In humans, taxane poisoning has caused fatalities. The seeds inside the attractive red berries, which the berry flesh itself does not contain in dangerous concentrations, are toxic. Children who eat the berries and chew the seeds receive a dose of taxane that requires immediate medical attention. Yew hedges are in millions of gardens. The clippings from pruning, left on the ground, remain toxic for days and are accessible to dogs and grazing animals. If you grow yew and have dogs, the clippings must be collected and disposed of immediately after every pruning session, without exception. 4. Rhododendron and azalea. Rhododendrons and azaleas are among the most spectacular flowering shrubs in cultivation. The explosions of color in pinks, reds, purples, whites, and oranges across spring and early summer make them a centerpiece plant in many gardens. They are widely planted in public parks, in garden borders, and as foundation planting around homes. Every part of the rhododendron and azalea is toxic to humans, dogs, cats, and horses. The active compounds are grayonotoxins, also called androdotoxins, which affect sodium channels in cell membranes and disrupt the normal function of the heart and nervous system. Symptoms of rhododendron poisoning in animals include excessive drooling, vomiting, diarrhea, loss of coordination, weakness, and in serious cases, dangerously low blood pressure, abnormal heart rhythm, and coma. The toxic dose for dogs is low, as little as 0.2% of body weight in leaves. For a small dog, that is a very small quantity. Honey produced from bees foraging on rhododendrons, called mad honey, has caused human poisonings for centuries. Xenophon recorded Greek soldiers suffering after eating honey from rhododendron-rich hillsides in the 4th century BC. Rhododendrons do not need to leave the garden, but if you have dogs who chew garden plants, this is a plant they must not have access to. 3. Autumn crocus. Autumn crocus, Colchicum autumnale, looks like a crocus. It flowers in autumn in shades of pink and purple, emerging from bare soil without any leaves, which gives it a ghostly, beautiful quality that makes it a popular choice for autumn garden interest. It is not related to the true crocus, and it is not safe in the way a true crocus is. Autumn crocus contains colchicine, a compound used in pharmaceutical medicine in carefully controlled doses for gout treatment, but acutely toxic in larger amounts. Symptoms of autumn crocus poisoning include severe gastrointestinal distress, multi-organ failure in serious cases, and delayed effects that can appear 1 to several days after ingestion, making it particularly dangerous because the connection between cause and effect is not always immediately obvious. For cats, autumn crocus is considered one of the most toxic common garden plants. The ASPCA lists it as causing severe vomiting, gastrointestinal bleeding, liver and kidney damage, and respiratory failure in cats. Dogs are similarly at risk. The autumn crocus is often confused in garden centers with the true crocus, and is occasionally confused with wild garlic leaves when the leaves emerge in spring, creating a risk of accidental human ingestion. If you grow both true crocuses and autumn crocuses, the distinction matters and needs to be clearly marked and understood. 2. Angel's trumpet. Angel's trumpet, Brugmansia, is one of the most dramatically beautiful plants in cultivation. The enormous, pendulous, trumpet-shaped flowers, sometimes a foot long, hang from the branches in cascades of white, yellow, pink, or orange, and the fragrance on a warm evening is extraordinary. It is grown as a container plant in cooler climates and as a large shrub or small tree in warm ones. Every single part of it is highly toxic. Angel's trumpet belongs to the Solanaceae family and contains tropin alkaloids, atropine, scopolamine, and hyoscyamin in all parts of the plant, including the flowers. These compounds cause anticholinergic syndrome, dilated pupils, rapid heart rate, dry mouth, disorientation, hallucinations, and in serious cases, seizures and coma. Children have been poisoned by playing with the flowers. Adults have been poisoned by handling the plant and touching their eyes or mouth without washing their hands. Tea made from the flowers has caused severe poisonings and deaths. The scent that makes an evening in a garden with Angel's trumpet magical is produced by the same plant that sends people to intensive care units. It is a plant for gardeners who understand exactly what they are growing and manage access accordingly. In a garden with small children or unsupervised pets, it has no safe place. 1. Lantana. Lantana is one of the most widely planted garden and landscaping plants in warm climates around the world. In the United States, it is planted in vast quantities across the South, the Southwest, California, and Florida. In Australia, across the Mediterranean, across subtropical and tropical regions everywhere, it lines driveways, fills garden borders, spills over retaining walls, and is recommended regularly by landscapers and garden centers as a colorful, drought-tolerant, low-maintenance choice. The colorful flower clusters of lantana, changing from yellow to orange to red or pink to purple as they mature, attract butterflies and hummingbirds. It blooms for months. It tolerates heat and drought that defeats other flowering plants. It is genuinely beautiful and genuinely easy. And it is one of the most common causes of severe poisoning in dogs in warm climate regions. The unripe green berries of lantana are highly toxic to dogs, cats, horses, and cattle. The active compounds lantidine A and lantidine B cause liver toxicity and photosensitization, where the skin becomes abnormally sensitive to sunlight and begins to break down. Symptoms in dogs include severe vomiting, weakness, complete loss of appetite, jaundice, and liver failure in serious cases. The ASPCA lists lantana among the most toxic common garden plants for pets. For children, the green berries, which turn black when ripe and become less toxic, are nonetheless considered toxic at all stages, and ingestion causes vomiting, abdominal pain, weakness, and visual disturbances. Lantana is in millions of front gardens. It is planted along paths where dogs walk, children play, and toddlers explore. And almost no one who plants it knows any of this. The most dangerous plant on this list is not the most obscure. It is one of the most common plants in landscaping across entire continents, recommended without warning, planted without awareness, and encountered every day by the animals and children it can most seriously harm. 15 plants, every single one of them in common cultivation, every single one of them in gardens and homes where the people living there have no idea of the risk. This is not a video about never growing beautiful plants. Every plant on this list has a place in the right garden, with the right awareness, the right placement, and the right precautions. Knowledge is not the same as prohibition. But knowledge is the first and most important protection. So here is what to do with what you learned today. Walk through your garden. Look at what you have. If you recognize any of these plants, look up the specific risks for your household, for your children's ages, for the animals you have. Make decisions based on what you now know rather than what you assumed. If a plant needs to move out of reach, move it. If a plant needs to come out entirely because the risk is not manageable in your specific situation, take it out. There is no garden plant beautiful enough to be worth the alternative. Share this video, because the family that needs to know this information most is almost certainly the one that has never thought to look for it. Subscribe to The Quiet Garden if you haven't already. Not every video here is a warning. Most of them are about discovery, about beauty, about the extraordinary things plants can do for us. But sometimes the most important thing a garden channel can do is make sure you know what you're actually growing. See you in the next one.
So hello guys, this is Roman and welcome to our channel The Quick Garden, where we will post the videos about weeds, plants and everything. So hope you will like the every video being posted in this channel, and thank you so much.